How do you take a really big subject like polyvagal theory or the autonomic nervous system and make it sound really awesome in a short amount of time so someone wants to watch your video? I have no freaking clue, but maybe do me a favor and watch it anyways. And while you're at it, you could like and subscribe. That'd be awesome. Thanks!
And I guess I'm just feeling disappointed in myself. I guess feeling like I've wasted the day, kind of embarrassed. And I guess I'm like shamed. I'm ashamed of my decisions, and I don't really have the motivation or the excitement or the energy to make any more. And I wonder if maybe I'm afraid to make them because the thoughts and decisions and plans I had for earlier in the day didn't come through. So why would I make any more? I don't know. It doesn't fully resonate with me hearing myself say that. But yeah, I don't really know. There's a part of me that feels like I could be on the verge of tears, but I'm not quite sure if I'm fully there. I think I don't know. It's like I think about the autonomic the nervous system, yes, but the autonomic ladder. And the fight, flight, or fight phase, which is, from what I've learned or heard, is part of the sympathetic, which is right in the middle of the ladder. So the top is true self. There isn't really like an aim, like the top is good. I mean, obviously, like living in a state of true self is ideal, often, but it's not always. Sympathetic is in the middle. That's the fight, flight responses, whatever, anxiety and all that stuff. Coming into dorsal is depression, things like that. There's a lot more to it than that. I'm not fully versed in it at all. I've heard a couple people talk on it. But yeah, I guess I don't know, maybe I'm starting to spiral into dorsal and to shut down. And the truth is, I'm not exactly sure how to get myself out. And there's not a lot of days where I feel good. Like I feel like myself, or I'm excited about the day right now. Could slap the label on the ventral vagal part of the ladder, right? The true self part. There's very little moments and very little days where I feel like that right now. I mean, and have for a long time, if I'm honest. So I'm really, and have been for a long time, living in this place of sympathetic or dorsal, just kind of going between the two, and probably more so in dorsal than anything else. And so it's like my body kind of climbs into sympathetic, kind of looks around, and then if something happens where I don't feel safe, I just hop back down into dorsal, which is like freeze, depression, whatever. The way that it was explained to me that I appreciated was like the ladder. There's 3 sections, right? Dorsal's at the bottom, sympathetic's in the middle, ventral's at the top. In each one of those sections, let's pretend there's a 0 to 10. So it's like if I'm looking at the dorsal section, 0's at the bottom, between sympathetic and dorsal, and then 10 is like at the top, right? I'm my truest self. I'm like living and breathing and like so stoked about life and myself and so connected and this and that. And then if we look at sympathetic, the bottom rung that's closest to dorsal could be 0, and 10 could be the closest to true self, right? Going up into ventral. And then there's phases, right? 0 to 10 in sympathetic, and then 0 to 10 in dorsal. So I could be in dorsal and I could be in the middle, or I could be at the top of dorsal, which isn't too terribly bad. I believe when I've heard people share about it before, they put anxiety into dorsal, I think, like right there at that transition between sympathetic going into dorsal. But I could be explaining that incorrectly, so I apologize. This is not what I thought that I would end up talking about, was the autonomic ladder, but it is something that's intriguing to me and something that I intend on learning more about for myself. And I just think it's so simplistic in nature, in regards to the nervous system, but also how it ties into emotional health, which I think can be connected to mental health too, and how it's really all connected to safety in the body. And there's things that happen in our past that our brain kind of processes and classifies as safe or unsafe, and if there's anything as we get older that reminds our body and our brain of that particular instance, there's this triggered response, whether it's actually that or not. And so then there's this feeling of unsafety. And so how can I bring safety or safe enough? I think that's the thing I've been pondering lately too, is how can this situation be safe enough for me? And I still don't know the answer to that. I know a lot, the people that I have listened to when they talk about nervous system and safety and all that, there's techniques like the grounding technique, or I can't think of the other one, but someone, Irene Lang, calls it orienting. But there's breathing, there's so many tools out there that recommend different things. And the thing that I'm learning is, just because it's a recommendation doesn't mean that that's the end all be all and that's the only tool that's going to work to re-regulate me. It seems to be a trial and error, and it seems to be not even a trial and error so much as like, well, I find the one thing that works for me and that's going to work for me every time. I haven't seen that in my own personal experience, that like if I'm feeling a certain way, or I'm feeling triggered, or I'm feeling off, that like I'm going to try this one tool and then it's always going to shift something in me or bring more regulation to my body. Like, it's not. I think that I have learned and discovered that it's, like I said, it's a trial and error every single time in that moment. Like walking, that didn't really work for me this time, so maybe I'll do some deep breathing. That didn't really work for me this time, so maybe I'll, journaling, whatever. Recording a video on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. This is random thoughts and rambles. Like I said, I didn't necessarily set out to record this video. It wasn't like talk about the autonomic ladder, although it was on my list of things to share one day. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't really know what it is I'm thinking or what it is I'm trying to say. I know that something, I guess you could call it a tool or a technique. Language can be funny, right? Everyone has their own definitions. But just practicing self-compassion. And I get one day I might make a video about this. It's on my to-do list of things to share. But compassion it feels so foreign to me, at least for myself. At least when I think about what I'm learning it is, I can't think of exactly the breakup of it, the Latin or whatever the roots are, but to be passionately with or something like that is the definition I've heard of compassion. And yeah, I don't know if I have mastered that in any capacity at all for myself. It still feels really scary, and it still feels really foreign to be with me, even in an emotion, right? I'm emoting right now in tears, like there's still a part of me that feels like we have to fix, or that the end result has to be a feeling shift, and then that would tell me that I've done what I needed to do for myself, that I've showed up for myself in compassion. It's not a checklist. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave this one here. And yeah, if you've reached the end of this one, I thank you for following along on this tangent, this ramble. I hope that it brought something to you, made some sense. I would love to support you in any way that I can. I'm obviously recording videos on the regular right now, so check out some other ones. I would never, ever in a million years say that I know everything that there is to know about emotional health, that I'm an expert in this field by any means. I'm just on the journey as much as you, just maybe a step ahead. So yeah, I applaud you, I honor you, and you are doing better than you think you are, and you're doing such a good job. So keep showing up for yourself. I hope you have a great day.